guys will be surprised.
Yay. I'm
It's
excited
going to
to
be
hear
fun.
about that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I did push record, so I am Deb Hoffman, the Presidential Diamond with It Works, and we've got several of the leaders from our team page on here, but we are most excited tonight to be honored with Aspen Emry's presence on our team Zoom. She is the Field Development Regional, and I always have to write that down because it doesn't come off my tongue very easily. It doesn't make sense to me. So I'm just going to call her my friend, and it can be your friend. You will be so excited.
For free. I'll be your friend for free.
For free. We don't even have to pay for it. I'm just going to first of all start off and let her talk about her story a little bit. She was able to come to one of our team meetings that we had in Cedar Rapids, and I know that the group that were there have heard your story, and I have heard it now 3 times, and I love it each time because it speaks to me in so many different ways. So, Ashley, I'm just going to kind of throw it to you and let you tell your story a little bit, okay?
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, and the Iowa meeting in Cedar Rapids was one of the first things that I ever went to once I was officially hired. I was undercover for a while and got to go to several One Team One missions and conference and other events. People were probably wondering what this guest kept doing, showing up to everything, never signing up, not wearing it works. But I couldn't say anything. So it was so fun to be able to get out to Iowa. And people always are elbowing me going like, who's your favorite? Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite? So I'm not going to say too much on here because this is being recorded, but I will say Iowa definitely left an impression on my heart. And just even from the phone calls I had with several of you guys in Iowa before I got there just really made an impact. So when Deb says that I'm her friend, like that's legit. We are friends. So I'm just excited. I am loving my job and what I'm doing because it's being with you guys, getting out there in the field. I'm a former high school teacher. I taught Spanish for a couple years before I started having kids. Did various things from home, had a home daycare, had a cleaning business. I was willing to do whatever it took to be home with my kids. Quit my teaching job after my first son was born. I ended up having 4 boys within about 5.5 years. So things were pretty crazy around here. And I was introduced to this industry about 11 years ago from somebody at church. And she was super hesitant. She was brand new. She had never signed anybody up yet and was just kind of hesitant sharing it with me. But I'd like to think I have a business mind. Even though I wasn't doing anything in business at the time, I really understood the concept of leveraging your time, working smarter, not harder, and building that residual income. So I was all in. I jumped in, and it was one of those things where I wanted to be home with my kids, and I wanted to do something different than I was doing. And there were a lot of things about it that weren't my personality, because even though I've got some blue and I've got some red and I've got some of that, it did scare me. It was a party plan company. It kind of scared me having to pick up the phone. Back then, we didn't have social media to call people and book parties. And I hate asking for help. I still kind of struggle with that, you guys. I'm like, I'll be carrying 48 bags of groceries, 7 kids, and dragging a wagon behind me, and I won't ask for help. And so that was really hard for me to actually ask people, will you do a party for me? Oh, I hate it. I don't want to ask you for a favor. But you know what? When you want something bad enough, you get out of your comfort zone and you just feel the fear and do it anyway, right? And so that's what I did. And I built that business. And then I've built 2 companies. The last company I was with, I started back in July of 2009, just to kind of give you a time reference. So barely on social media at that point. We didn't build it all on social. So I'm a very belly to belly kind of person. I had a warm market and then it kind of went away and had to kind of make a new warm market and go meet a whole bunch of new people to keep going. But the last company I was with, I did build it to its highest level. Kind of a crazy story how I even heard about it. And if Deb wants me to share that at some point, I will. But I heard you do?
Yeah.
Okay. So I heard about this company, and it's funny because I actually did hear about it from Facebook. A lady that I didn't know sent me a message. And back then, when people sent you a message you didn't know, like I was convinced we were all going to be dead by morning. I was like, this is not good, you guys. A stranger has found me on Facebook. She's permeated the perimeter of my wall. We are in trouble. But I read the message, and she said a couple things in it that kind of grabbed my attention about this company. I wasn't building anything at that point. I was done with the first company. And I walked upstairs and said to my husband, okay, this lady from Facebook, yes, she's a stranger, don't worry, but she just told me about this company, and I honestly think I should check it out. I think I kind of like the product. This compensation plan sounds cool. I think I should check this out. He's like, okay. My husband's pretty supportive of anything I do, and he kind of secretly knows that I'm just probably going to do it anyway, so he should just agree with me, and then we just get along better, right? So he said, okay, take a look at it. I think you should. And I said, okay, well, I need to leave for Kentucky in 30 minutes. My car is in the shop, so I need to take a work truck. You pick 2 kids. I'll pick 2 kids. Which ones do you want? He took 1 and 4. I took 2 and 3. I get in the work truck, and I start driving to Kentucky, which is not near Nebraska. If you live in Iowa, you probably have that figured out. Kentucky's not by us. It's about 11 hours away. So my 2 little boys, they were the 3 and 4-year-olds, went with me to Kentucky. We were heading to a meeting because one of the big wigs from the company was going to be there. So halfway there, our work truck broke down outside a prison where there had just been a prison breakout. And so the cops came and got us and took us to a hotel. And I did stay in a room with 2 strangers off of Facebook. So it's bizarre, but I sheltered my children and prayed for safety. All worked out. And I showed up at a meeting. It was at a hotel, but here's the deal, guys. It wasn't one of those where you actually rent the room at the hotel. It was the meet me in the hotel lobby because there's couches there. It was that kind of meeting. It was that small every month. So every single month, the same 6 distributors for this company, it was a new company, the same 6 distributors just met in the hotel lobby and listened to the business presentation. So like our version of the party pad, and this big wig flew in for it every single month. Well, as I'm being this crazy lady driving across country to go to this meeting, this bigwig guy doesn't have any idea that I'm on my way. His plane and his flight get canceled. He contemplates for a hot second that maybe he shouldn't even go to this meeting because let's be honest, the same 6 distributors are there every month, right? How many times have you thought to yourself, oh my gosh, I keep doing this one team, one mission, or I keep going. It's the same people every week. We just keep going, but they keep telling me to show up to this stuff. Well, there's power, guys, in doing enough of the right things and just doing those right things and being consistent with the activity, even when it's kind of feeling like it's not paying off, right? So the guy said, well, my flight got canceled, but I'm going to drive the 11 hours because that was where he was coming from, Virginia. So he drove 11 hours, not knowing that it wasn't just going to be the same 6 people sitting in that lobby, that week there were going to be 7 people, a crazy lady from Nebraska that just drove a work truck through a prison breakout to get here to hear about this opportunity that a stranger off Facebook told her about. I stayed at that meeting. I listened, and then my green came out and my red came out after the meeting, and I asked a million questions about it. By the time I got home to Nebraska the next day, driving 11 hours, I had 5 legs of my business going, and within less than 6 months or so, 6 months to a year, a third of the company was on my team, and we were at the top rank. And so I say that to show you just the power of how one person showing up at a wrap party or a Facebook party or watching something on your wall that you don't even know is maybe watching you, how one person could change your business. Okay. And that is what happened in that company. Sadly, the end of the story really is not awesome because I built with that company for a couple of years and they went out of business. It's nothing to be scared of here. We're 16 years old and debt free. You've heard that over and over again. That gives us a lot of peace and security. The company I was with was in pre-launch when I started, and they hadn't even been around for 2 years when the whole thing ended. So it was devastating. It was sad. It crushed my whole world. I sound like I've got it all together. I could bring myself back to a really sad place if I think about it, because a lot of hearts were broken. It was $1,000 to join, you guys. Not 99, 1,000. And people had just joined the day before and never got their product. And I looked people in the eye and they had trusted me. And so that was heartbreaking. But you know what? God works all things out. And sometimes you don't always see why you go through that hard time. I was at a little side note. I was at a funeral. Okay, this is the sad part, but I was at a funeral a few years ago, and it was a funeral that you never really want to be at one, but I guess sometimes when people are really, really old, you can somehow reconcile that they've had this wonderful life. It wasn't one of those, okay? It was one where you're like, we shouldn't be here. This isn't right. And the pastor said something that I really feel like you can actually apply to business, because I don't know where you guys are at in your business, but I'm just going to share this. And but he talked about how, when you look at a cross stitch, I don't know if any of you have a mom or a grandma who ever did a cross stitch. Usually they're like little dolls or butterflies or flowers. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe some of you cross stitch. I'm not sure if Carrie, Ashley, or Alyssa, maybe you guys cross stitch. But when you look at the back of it, it's a disaster, right? It's just like knots all over the place and it's a total mess. But when you look at the front, it's this beautiful picture. And the pastor at this funeral was sharing that. And he was saying how, when we're looking at life, sometimes we're looking at the back of the cross stitch, right? And we're looking at the back. We don't always see the picture. And to us, sometimes life kind of looks like a jumbled mess. And sometimes in your business, it might have looked like that for a season. And you're going, I don't really get this, because we've gone up and then we've gone down. And you're looking at the back of that cross stitch and you don't realize what's on the other side. And, I'm a Christian, so I'm going to say that you don't always see what God sees. You don't always see the beautiful picture. You don't see what's coming next. You don't see what's going to happen when you weather some of those storms and get to that next phase of your business, because after every down, there's going to be an up. And so when I think back to my story and when I think back to that moment, I never would have thought, when I was curled up on the floor in a ball, bawling my eyes out, going, this is devastating. This has crushed me. And I thought, what's wrong with me that I'm so broken over this experience? Is everybody this brokenhearted? I would have never known that it was going to lead me to this company 6.5 years later, that it was going to lead me to something so much bigger. So, to be able to impact people, support so many people in the right place with the right people. And, you've heard Cammie say before, like, we're not trying to be, or we don't claim to be, I guess we should say, we don't claim to be the perfect company, but we want to be the perfect company for you. So there's a lot of things that we are working on to be better and better every day. Just like as people, I don't know. I don't want any of us walking around thinking we have it all together. The secret to my success is being real open about the fact that I don't have it all together, you guys. I promise I don't. And I think that's what's great about this company, is that we are so working to be better and better every single day. But I knew in my heart, when I was given a chance to look at this, and when I was told, they were very, very open about, this is a big job. They were just like, you have big shoes to fill, or whatever that expression is. We've got to have someone that just can really love on these people and recognize and pour their heart and soul into them. I just knew that it was the right place for me. And I know, because you guys are committed to this new team page, this Zoom, and all of these things, that obviously it's the right place for you. I'm excited about what It Works has going on this summer. I'm excited about what's coming later in June, what's coming in July, what's coming at Green Carpet, what's planned for the rest of the year. It's great. And there's no place that I would rather be. And those are just some little tidbits from my past. I've got lots of stories that I'll probably share eventually that are these crazy little details that I look back now and I think, I never could have pieced this together. And I know sometimes we just like off the cuff go, oh, God's ways are higher than our ways, and God's so big and amazing. And don't get me wrong, I think he is. But when I look at some of these events, I'm thinking there's no other way to explain it than God. And it was worth it to weather some of those storms, because I wouldn't be the right person for this if I hadn't been through some of that kind of stuff. So that's me, guys. Deb, did you want to add or subtract or modify anything?
Okay, so that story that you told me on the phone that day when I was sitting in the car, and you were telling me the story about the prison break, and I was like, I can't even believe it. You have such amazing stories, but one thing out of that I pick out of it, and I think will speak to a lot of people that are on this Zoom, is you took your kids with you. You made it happen with your kids. And so I feel like a lot of what we need to hear is that you can do this business with your kids. I hear people say a lot of times, I don't want to be that mom on the phone all the time. I don't want to be that mom. And I hear that. I understand what you're saying because, like, for example, I've been with my grandkids a lot recently, and I don't want them to think that I'm ignoring them. But I also look at that and think, but I could be working a 12-hour day job and not be with them at all. So if I can section out moments where I can respond to something on my phone, but I just think in the fact that you were able to incorporate your children, and you have, this pretty lady has 5 children, 4 boys and a precious girl. And she is making this job happen in a big way. She's impacting so many lives. But I know in your heart that you still feel like you're giving so much to your family too. So kind of talk to me a little bit about how you make that work.
I really do. And I've actually learned a lot even from your field. I know Ambassador Diamond, Krista Pettingill, I saw on her page one time recently, she had posted pictures of her presenting before. And in one of them, she's got a baby. She had a baby in a baby carrier that she was wearing. There were times when I was doing parties. I mean, I always took my kids. My kids have been to so many states, and I didn't take all of them. That's a little bit crazy for me. I had a husband that was back here to support, but I would usually take a couple. We'd drive to Utah, which is not near here either. We would drive all over the place, and we just made it work. I remember having a 7-month-old when I started my first company, and my babies are nursing babies for a long time. So I remember driving 3 hours for a party, saying, I got to go nurse in your bedroom if that's okay, and taking turns and just making it happen. And I think, honestly, guys, I think that's the secret. If I had never had them with me, it's the whole art of duplication. People, and I'm not saying if you've got a cool system and you've got people to help you and you don't need or want to take your kids, that's fine. But for me, people could look at me and be like, she is a hot mess and she can do this. And it doesn't mean I wasn't professional. I tried to get the spit off my shoulder when I could, but I just was normal and real. And I just showed people that if you want something bad enough, you just go do it. You just make it happen. It doesn't mean there weren't bad days, guys. There weren't times when I'm driving back going, oh my gosh, all I sold was a lipstick for $16.50. I just drove 4 hours. What am I going to tell my husband? I had those ups and downs, but my kids were a part of it. And I will say I was better in my second company than my first at carving some of that time out and putting my phone down for my kids. And I think that's important to do sometimes. I was talking to, I don't know if you guys know Ambassador Diamond Amanda McGee out of Colorado. I was talking to her the other day. We were at an event last weekend in Colorado, and she's got a couple little kids, and she had a little system that I thought was kind of cool. She said she kind of rotates her day in 3s, and it's kind of this little cycle throughout the day. And she does something for like herself or her kids. So that might mean go outside, for an hour and play with her kids or put a puzzle together, whatever. And then she does something for her business, which might mean, 15 minutes of posting or whatever kind of method you're doing, contacting, inviting to parties. And then she does something for her house, which I probably used to forget that part a little bit. She's like, but then I might go sweep the floor. And then I go back to the beginning. And then and it's not all perfect increments of time, because it might be a day like today. I took my kids to the Omaha Zoo, and that was a 3-hour chunk. Okay. So we went up there, and if you haven't been there, you probably should take your kids there. It's really cool. But we went for 3 hours, and then it's okay. Now I'm going to do something. So I love that. Something for herself and her kids, something for her business, something for her house, unload the dishwasher. So by the end of the day, she's like, wow, I did a puzzle with my kids. We colored for a little bit. We did this. And then I did these 3 things for my business, or these 8 things for my business, however many times you cycle. And then I loaded the dishes, did the laundry, and made my bed. And it just was kind of cool. I don't know if that speaks to everyone, but for me, I was like, maybe I need to start doing that. Do a little bit for work, a little bit for the kids. And so even with my job, I make it work now with my kids. Some of you know that, my baby, I've got someone who comes with me, and every trip except the one to Iowa, she was there and at the hotel. So I go and love on the team, stay up with the team, hang out with the team, and pour into everybody. And then when I go back to the hotel, I climb into bed and I snuggle with my little baby girl, because I just love her to death. But she's seeing a mom that's making a difference. She's seeing a mom that goes after a dream and after a goal. And I think your kids need to see that. And I'm sorry if you don't have kids, there's other people in your life that you're inspiring. It may not be your kids. Okay. It may be your friends. It may be your extended family. You're inspiring them. But I know my kids look at my job and say, wow, you're helping people. And I think that's important. So, but they're still a part of my life, even though my job is a little bit different than before. They're still a part of it. My oldest son was with me when I was in Texas doing all those events last week. And my second son was with me during Phoenix boot camp. And my third son is going to be at Green Carpet. So I have enough kids. I can like rotate them on all these trips and make it work. So just pass them around.
You inspire me though. And I mean, clearly my kids are grown. One of mine is right here on here, but there, like you said, there's something in everybody's life that is their kids, whether it's your dogs or whatever. And so making it work with them and showing them how you're doing that is a huge inspiration too. And I think it's very empowering for us as people too, to know that you can work through those things and not give up on it. Because I feel like a tendency is for people to give up on their dream. They're like, oh, I really want to. And I hear people say all the time, I really want to be able to stay home with my children, or I really want to have the office view that you had today. And I think you can. The only way you can't do that is if you give up. And that's what happens, is so many people give up. And tell us what we say to them, Aspen. What do we say when people feel like they're not chasing their dreams like they should? They just give up on them.
I say it's never too late to start over and to rewrite. You can't go back to the beginning, but you can, every day is a new day. And I liken that to even just in my personal life when it comes to working on getting some weight off after my fifth baby at a really, 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 really old age. You know, there's a lot of things that each day is a new day, and not beating myself up over yesterday, and recognizing that I can't rewrite my story, and you can't rewrite the beginning of your story, but every day is a new day. And I'm reading a book right now, and I can't really even recommend the book because I've only read 2 chapters. So, I mean, the end could be just an absolute disaster, but it's Divine Direction. It was recommended by a triple diamond who was actually really stuck in her business. And she came weeping to an event and said it changed her whole life. Divine Direction, 7 decisions that will change your life. And I'm through decision number 2. So I know at least 2 of them are really good. And there's just a lot in there that talks about that, you know, altering the direction of where you're at. And what do you want your story to look like? What's the end goal? And does the end goal reflect where you're at now? Or is it time to make some decisions that change that direction, you know, that are in line with what you want the end of your story? And he talks a lot in there about when you see Mackenzie or Deb or Jamie or one of these, you know, successful people who we look up to on stage, they didn't get there because of one massive decision that just changed everything. Okay. Yeah. Obviously deciding to do what works is a pretty big decision, but they get there because of a lot of small decisions and choices that they make every single day that end up in that culmination, right? Those small activities that they were consistent with. When you see someone who has a bunch of well-behaved children, it's not an accident. You're seeing, wow, those kids are well-behaved, but you're not seeing those daily course corrections and the boundaries that those parents have set that give you that end result. And so he talks a lot in there about things like that when you see a really happy marriage, you don't see the times that the wife, you know, let go of some resentment that she was holding on to. You know, you don't see all those little things. You just see the couple that's so ridiculously happy. It's sickening, right? And so I just think that's important, because sometimes in this business, I think we're thinking like, I have to just do this one thing, and what's big, it's this big thing. And it's a series of small events on a consistent basis. Just like me, go to the meeting, the guy just showed up at the meeting. It's just doing enough of those things consistently that all of a sudden you're living the life of your dreams. And it's doing those things even when we don't feel like it. Okay. If you guys have lost weight, or if you are an exerciser, there have to be days that you just don't really feel like it. But it's still good for you, and you just kind of do it anyway. And so the first chapter of the book talks about, it's called Start. And he kind of goes into this, there's a bunch of great quotes, but he talks about, you know, what is one thing that you could start right now that would be a good habit that you could commit to? And he goes, don't list like 5 or 6. What's one thing that you could do? And it's silly because his is flossing his teeth. Okay. And he talks about it. That is now, he goes, dental hygienists everywhere are going to love me. But he's like, that is a non-negotiable. Because if I can't even commit to flossing my teeth, well, then if I don't floss my teeth, then this happens and this. And it's just funny. But in our business, what is one thing you could commit to that you could start doing? Okay. And in your health. And so he says, look at the phone right now. So mine says 8:54. So I don't know if that's central or whatever time zone this computer is set in, and he's like, you've got 24 hours. What is one thing you can commit to starting that's going to take your business in the direction that you're going to the end of your story? And like I said, it's a great book. It's got so much, I don't even know which one to tell you, but I don't know. We can't start over, but we can start something new, a new discipline that will make for a better end to your story. And it's never too late to start something new. So that's what the first chapter talks about. The second chapter, he goes into, it's called Stop. And what is something that you need to stop doing right now that you're doing? Don't list 15 things out. Well, I need to quit doing this. And he gives some examples. Like, what about comparison? Are you comparing yourself to someone? Do you have a bad attitude, a critical spirit, negative self-talk? I wrote down Diet Pepsi, you guys, because I went like 4 or 5 years not drinking any diet soda, and all of a sudden this evil thing has creeped back in. It's like, that would be one thing. So from a lifestyle perspective, that's one thing. But in business, is there one thing that you're doing that you just need to stop? And so I don't have time to summarize the whole book, but it was just really cool how he showed in a positive light all these great things like the wonderful marriage and disciplined kids and successful career and all that are just the culmination of those small decisions. But on the flip side, you guys, it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks when he said, but think of the people, those decisions on the other side that don't seem that bad. He's like, how many people that are smokers woke up one day and said, I want to get addicted to cigarettes? Woohoo, we're all in. Let's go get addicted to cigarettes. Nobody thinks that. It starts out as you have a little cigarette with your friends and you're watching the game. And then it's like, well, you bought the pack, so you might as well have another one. And before you know it, you smoke the whole pack that weekend. Or people that are addicted to a pain medication or, lots of different things, alcohol, whatever it might be. It usually doesn't start with a decision to go get a major life-altering addiction or problem, or in the case of weight, it starts with this and letting these food boundaries slip or whatever it might be. And so I think that's true of our business, is you can have a slippery slope the wrong way, just kind of getting in some of those negative habits. And so for me, it was empowering. Like I said, I'm only through the first 2 chapters, but I'm sitting here going, okay, what is one thing I can start doing, just one, that's going to take me towards the direction that I want to be the end of my story? And what's one thing I can stop doing that's going to also be in line with that goal? And I like how he keeps it simple like that. And for me, that's just something that I'm kind of grabbing onto right now, is breaking it down and keeping it simple, but not thinking that I have to make all these major life-altering decisions. Everybody on here has already made the life-altering decision to be a part of this. And I bet with a small little tweak or a course correction, their business could jump even further. And some of them are probably already in massive momentum, which is fantastic too. So
I agree.
That's my thought.
So much of, as you're talking, I think for me, I can hear in my head things that I believe everybody could do, like commit to doing one product and making that, their testimonial, simple things like that. Because I feel like sometimes people think, I can't commit to exercising every day. I can't commit to, quit smoking, any of those big things. But even a small thing like purchasing that one product and using it every single day so that you have a personal testimonial is so simple. We overcomplicate those things. So like you were saying, I feel like we need to commit to our business by doing the simple things, but doing them consistently. Going to things and plugging in and that kind of stuff. Talk to me a little bit about, with your other companies, what were their green carpets like? What were their conferences like? Were they super fun and interactive like ours are? Or what kind of plugging in things did you have from your past history, and what do you think, compare that to It Works?
I would say that events were always something that I looked forward to. I always believed in the concept of, if you're up about your business, the meeting needs you, and if you're down, you need to get to the meeting. That whole concept. I would definitely say they were fun, but there was something missing. There was an energy that was missing, and there was a lot of people who were really excited, but it didn't feel as authentic, I guess you could say. There was some good training there. I don't want to bash, the things that I've done, because even though, one ended in total crushing heartbreak, devastation, there were a lot of good aspects of it too. And I learned a lot as a leader. I enjoyed it because my team was there. I enjoyed it because my people were there, and we had our own culture within our team. But I will say, when I went to my first It Works event, I was blown away, because I had been prospected for the last 6.5 years. I'm sure you guys are prospected a lot. People trying to tell you the grass is greener and some new hot thing is going to make you a bazillionaire with no work. Let me tell you, that's not true anywhere. But I hadn't ever seen anything with a culture like It Works from the top down. And one of the things I will say, without, seeming to bash anything, is it really does start with the top down. It starts with corporate leaders and those really high field leaders that are willing to pass that culture down. And I even talked about this in my job interview when I was trying to explain what I was feeling in the culture. And I said, it's kind of like a sponge, picture a sponge sopping wet. If the culture at the top of the company, that's, you squeeze the sponge, it's trickling down through everything. And that doesn't mean that there won't be a bad apple in any business, right? I'm sure at IBM and Apple and all these places. But I'm saying, when the heart of the company is right, and when the people at the top making decisions are right, it's like that sponge where that culture is permeating, that culture of giving back, one team, one mission, supporting sidelines, being in something together, being a part of something greater. I never really felt like I was a part of something super huge. I knew that I was changing lives within my team, but I never felt a part of a bigger purpose. And there were those pockets of culture and those sponges that were trying to permeate my group, and that was hard. And so this is the perfect company for you. I know it's the perfect company for me. And together with your feedback and your love and support and loyalty that we've all had, it's getting better every day and every month. And I was sold the day I walked in. So it's just gotten better every single month since I've been here. But that culture and that family feeling, I've never had a CEO call us his family or his team. I've never felt like I could wear jeans to an event. I'm like, well, that's pretty cool, being casual. I don't have to go spend $100 on black pants and, $150 high heels everywhere I go. Like this was different. I feel like people can be real and authentic. You can have a backstory. You can have a sad story. You can have heartbreak and heartache, and everybody's embraced here, and you are a part of the family. And I love that. And that's not normal. It's not normal. And I don't know. I really can't think of any other way to explain it than that there is something really unique here. And I've never seen so many people cry, like happy tears, as I have in It Works. And I love that, because I'm a crier and I'm an emotional person. But to see that at someone's core, that this experience has changed their life on so much more, than just a financial level, that speaks volumes to me.
Yeah, I agree completely. Hey, if anybody has questions, just add them into the chat and we will ask her. But I know one thing that I have had other leaders ask me to ask you, having been in this market for a long time, I'm sure that your warm market felt like it was eaten up, like you had touched all your warm market. Talk to us about how you work your cold market and how you find people, and what I know that a lot of people feel like, I've already talked to everybody I know, even though that's probably not true. But there is still that aspect of touching lives in a cold market. Can you talk to me about that a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. And like I said, remember I built in the olden days, before 6 years ago, which doesn't seem that long ago, there wasn't social media. So now I'm thinking of all the moms groups I'm in, preemie groups, C-section groups, all these groups that I'm in where it's like, I've got a lot of relationships there. So I do think that would be a whole different avenue for me at this point, and for any of us at this point. Building some relationships in there, adding them on Facebook, and then they find you and kind of start watching you. That obviously is a no-brainer. But before all that, I did feel that way. Guys, I live in the middle of a cornfield for real. If it wasn't dark, I'd take you out there. I had been a stay-at-home mom for a long time. I wasn't ever in a sorority, even though I went to the University of Nebraska. I just wasn't super connected. And so that was my story. And it started with a decision of, well, if I don't know anybody, then I'm going to meet people. And I obviously knew people. I, went through my warm market. I have a bunch of sisters, they're all ordering product, whatever it was. But I did have to put myself out there. Number one, I got really good at getting the people that I enrolled into activity. So to me, that was a big deal because I knew instinctively that not everybody was going to stick, right? I mean, that's just the nature. Somebody gets excited. So that was my number one thing. I was not a master recruiter. I really was not. Some of you people, when I'm like, wow, you enroll 3 distributors every month, I'm thinking that is a gold mine. And you guys are thinking you probably feel like you're a slacker when you do that because that's only 1 steps to success, 3 and 4. And these people are cranking it out 3 and 4 times. I'm going, 3 new people every single month. That is hundreds of contacts, you guys. That is a gold mine, 3 new distributors. So I would be looking at it going, I need to get in front of their warm market as fast as possible. They've got sisters, cousins, friends. So I think it starts for me, it would start with that brand new distributor has a market you don't have. If they quit your business within 30 days, I hope that you have talked to every sibling and third cousin that they have and all their friends from work. And I'm being 100% serious. Get them an activity right away. So that right there is, don't waste a brand new person that has this whole wealth of people. The huge part of it is you're giving them a win. If you get in front of their people right away, you're helping them win by helping them get their loyal customers, by helping them get distributors. So the chances that they're going to stay longer are greater anyway. So it's not just for your sake. I want you to do that. I want you to do it because that's what's best for them, is to help them. And however you're getting in front of their market is your business, how you're building, whether it's Facebook parties and Zooms or getting face-to-face with them. And for me, it was being involved. It was trying to get into moms groups. It was going to a Tuesday morning Bible study when I could. It was, trying to, some of my friends, when they do play dates, I mean, you have to realize my life revolves around little kids. So once again, if you aren't building with small kids, I don't even know how to relate. If you have a job, I was so jealous of people on my team that worked full time. I was like, you don't know how lucky you are. You meet people that are not 3. This is so cool. So they got to go to work every day, and they had this huge market of all these teachers and all these people. So as someone at home, I just kind of had to get into the whole play date scene and try to meet friends that way and build real relationships. I wasn't afraid to ask for referrals. When people tell me no to my business, I would try to get them as a customer and say, well, maybe you know somebody who's looking for extra money. Maybe it's not you. Do you have a sister or cousin or a brother or friend that might be looking to do something like this? Would you ask them if they'll at least listen? And I got people that way. So just finding ways. And we didn't have Blitz cards, but I would be using those.
Well, my takeaway from what you just said is asking. Ask them. I think so many times people say, I can't. Did you ask? I know people have said, I can't sell a wrap. Have you ever asked? Well, no. So I think a big takeaway from what you just said is you ask them for referrals. You ask them, do you want to be a customer? You ask. That's a huge part of the company that you have to do is ask. You've got to ask. So questions?
Well, I think if you're stuck a little bit, I mean, why can't everybody on here just call a couple friends tonight and say, hey, I know that I talked to you a year ago about the business and it wasn't a fit for you, but you know what? I'm actually going for a big promotion. I'm working towards a bonus, or I'm working towards this, or, I'm working for that. Would you be willing to help me out? I'm just, would you be open to having a few friends over so that I can share my product with them? I'll give you a couple wraps. I don't know if we're allowed to do that. I'm assuming it's okay if you get a wrap reward that you can wrap your host to your hostess. If not, scratch that and, give them a Starburst instead. But, say I would love to give you, a wrap, would you have just a few friends over? It would mean a lot to me. I would say yes. Don't all call me and ask me to host a wrap party for you, but I would say yes. I would be like, well, yeah, if somebody asked me and said, hey, I'm working this for XYZ, would you be willing to do that? You might get a few customers and a couple distributors out of it. I've got friends that would be willing to help me if I called them up. I mean, they're busy and their lives are crazy, but if I said, it would really mean a lot to me, could you help me kind of meet some new people? Would you have some people over so I could share it? It won't, I won't bring a ton of product. I'll bring some stuff for them to sample. Take about 45 minutes. Well, it works for you, Tuesday or Wednesday.
When you said that, and call those people that you have talked to previously and say to them, we've got some really great new promotions. We can earn you $100 in free product. In addition to the fact that you already get a box of 4 wraps and you'll get your own website, touch base with them and talk to them about the new things that are coming, to have been offered today. That's a great thing to do. I think everybody should be challenged to do that. Contact 2 previously contacted people and say, let's get together again because I've got new things to talk to you about, because maybe it wasn't a good fit then, but now it is. So
absolutely.
Well, I don't want to keep you forever. We've gotten 45 minutes of your precious time, and I feel so blessed by it. Your story still, just blows me away completely. So y'all got the fact that she has been a multi-level marketer for a long time, but it took 6.5 years for her to realize and find it works. And we are so thankful to have you. So very thankful to have you. The very first time I talked to you on the phone, I knew that we would be friends forever because you are just such a doll.
Thank you. You're so sweet.
Yeah. So if you ever have the opportunity to meet or talk with Aspen, do it. She will enrich your life. But friend her, or at least follow her, because she'll shout you out in big ways too. If you've got a good story, send it to her. She'll shout you out.
Yes, I would love that. I would love that. Send me your team stories. Let me know when you've got people that get a couple customers, or when they go executive. Okay, when they become, what do you call it? 400 backs? The 400 Club. When they do that, that sounds good. I'll have that. So send them over. Let me know, and I can send them a little message or say something on my wall. Let me know what I can do, just to be an encouragement and a support.
You are
and when
that.
Iowa again.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see you in green carpet. It's just.
Oh, there you go. That'll be even more fun. Yep, that sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Take it easy.
You guys have a good night. I'll hop out of here and you can finish up. Okay. Thank you.
Bye, Aspen. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, guys, that was amazing, right? I'm going to let you all go because you've got some follow-ups to do. It's not too late. It's 9:15. Contact 2 people right now that you've talked to before, and then post on that team page what you found out, what you're doing about it, and what's happening. So good that all of you were on. I'm very impressed that you dedicated this amount of time to your business. Take care. I'm going to stop recording.